Welcome back to the exchange. Today, we're pulling on a thread that runs through every clock tick, every calendar date, every deadline. Time. It feels so obvious, doesn't it? The clock ticks, the sun rises, your phone nags you about being late. But what is time really? Science has never agreed.
In fact, time has been one of the most stubborn illusions in physics. Back in the 1600s, Isaac Newton pictured time as absolute. A cosmic metronome, ticking everywhere, the same for everyone.
And for centuries, that worked beautifully. Navigation, trade, empire, all built on the assumption of universal time. But here's the catch, it wasn't discovered. It was assumed. No one had actually measured time itself.
Then along came Einstein in 1905. He proved that time isn't universal, it's relative. Speed up, slow down, change your position in gravity, and your clock ticks differently. A satellite orbiting Earth runs ahead of the clock on your kitchen wall.
Exactly. And general relativity took it further, showing that gravity bends time itself. A clock at the top of a mountain runs faster than one at sea level. Suddenly, your time is not my time. It depends on where you stand in space-time.
Which leads us to a puzzle. Why does time only move forward? After all, physics equations work just as well backwards. Yet you never see broken glass leap back together or smoke crawl back into a match.
That's the arrow of time. And it comes from entropy, the measure of disorder. There are countless more ways for things to be messy than neat, so systems almost always drift from order to chaos.
Which is why the broken glass stays broken. Entropy makes time feel one-directional. But here's the kicker. That forward flow of time isn't a fundamental law of the universe. It's just probabilities stacking against us.
But if you shrink down to the quantum world, things get even stranger. Until you measure them, particles can exist in multiple states at once. Schrödinger's cat is both dead and alive until you check.
And in quantum physics, time itself is just a parameter. It doesn't flow the way we experience it. The real question becomes, when does change become real? Does time exist at all? Or is it just the story we tell after the fact?
Which brings us to a truth people often overlook. Time is political. Whoever controls time controls people.
Egyptian priests tied their authority to the flood cycles of the Nile. Mayan kings used calendars as propaganda. Chinese emperors fused their legitimacy with celestial timekeeping.
And Europe wasn't any different. The church's bells dictated prayer and labor. Later, the British Empire standardized railways and telegraphs with Greenwich as the global center. Even today, atomic clocks born out of the Cold War run GPS, finance, and warfare.
Control the clock, control the world. That's the hidden truth of time. What we call time is just cycles and changes, wrapped up in power and coordination.
A clock is just a repeating change, a pendulum swing, an atom vibrating. We compare other changes against it. What we see isn't time itself. We see change.
And here's the twist. Modern attempts to merge relativity and quantum mechanics, like the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, contain no time at all. At the deepest level, the universe may be timeless.
Which means maybe it's not time that's fundamental, but change itself.
And our brains, desperate for order, stitch those changes into a story, what we call the flow of time.
So perhaps time isn't a river we drift through, but the greatest trick the universe has ever played.
And the best illusion our species ever believed. Time. We treat it as if it's currency, something we spend, something we lose. But what if it's not really flowing at all? What if it's simply our minds stitching change into a story, a way to keep from drowning in chaos? Maybe time is the best illusion evolution ever gave us, a trick to help a fragile species make sense of a universe that doesn't always care. So here's the thought I'll leave you with. If time is just change, then what matters isn't how much of it we have, but how much of it we notice. Every second you ignore is already lost to entropy. Every moment you live with awareness is a defiance of that arrow. Next time, we'll turn our attention from the mysteries of time to the mysteries of water, and the day the Earth itself was rewritten. The Ice Age floods of the Pacific Northwest were so vast, so violent, they carved entire landscapes in days. Imagine walls of water higher than skyscrapers, reshaping continents before human eyes. That's where we're headed. Until then, don't just count your hours. Question them. This is the exchange.